What's going on, everybody? Today I wanted to make a quick video walking you guys through the preset that I tend to use whenever I'm playing my Silver Sky or really any Strat style guitar at this point. I had a couple people request that I make a video like this after seeing some of my other tone tutorial and preset walkthrough videos, so hopefully this is something you guys enjoy and find useful. As you can see, this preset is pretty simple, but I am using some third-party IR, so I'll start with the cab block just so that way you guys can see what's going on there. As usual for my channel, I'm using some York Audio IR, specifically this York 2x12 M65 pack. This is probably my favorite cab pack for anything clean to edge of breakup. I just love the way it sounds for those types of tones. Really the only thing I've done is I've added a bit of a high cut at 9,000 Hertz just to smooth out the high end a little bit because Strats can be a little bit bright. And I added a low cut at 70.1 Hertz, I guess it looks like. So that's pretty much it. This is the cab that is on every single scene. I don't use any of the other channels or anything like that. It's just this Mix 01 from this York cab pack for everything you hear. For the amp, I'm using the Two-Stone J35 with these settings you can see here for the clean sound, and really the only thing that's going to be changing from scene to scene as far as the amp goes is going to be where the gain and the overdrive knobs are set, but all the other tone controls are going to stay the same, and I'm going to be using the same IR in every single scene of this preset. Other than that, I've just got this Recording Studio C reverb loaded up with the mix set to 9%. All the other controls are stock, so it's just however the Recording Studio C loads up, and I personally think this is a really nice sounding clean tone. Now for the compressor that you see at the start of the signal chain, I'm using the JFET compressor with just a subtle amount of compression like you could see from these settings here. And the main thing I'm using this for is just to try to tame some of the dynamics and even everything out whenever I'm finger picking stuff. This is really useful when I'm tracking because I don't want the volume levels jumping all over the place, so I just turn this compressor on and everything evens out in a really pleasing way. The other thing you can do is you can increase the compression on this to get some more funky style guitar tones, and I think it sounds great for that as well. All in all, I really like the way this compressor sounds, and it plays really nice with this amp and cab combination. Moving on to scene 2, this is pretty much where I live 90 to 95% of the time I have this preset dialed up. I absolutely love the way this sounds, and really all I've done is I've increased the gain and the overdrive just a little bit from the clean sound that I just talked about. This is a very, very responsive, very dynamic guitar tone. It's probably most akin to something that most people would call an edge of breakup style tone. And I'm not usually someone who goes for that sound in my day-to-day, but for whatever reason, with this amp and a Strat style guitar, really any Strat style guitar, doesn't have to be a Silver Sky, this sound for me hits just right, and I can get lost playing this tone for hours and hours. I absolutely love this tone. For scene number 3, I've increased the gain and the overdrive enough to get us into that classic crunch territory. I think this is a pretty cool sound. It's definitely distinct from your plexis or just other Marshall style classic crunch sounds, but I think it sounds good still. It might not be for everybody, but for me, if you dial the tone back on your Strat bridge pickup, I think this sounds pretty good for rhythms. Moving on to the lead tones, I've got the amp set once again at those edge of breakup settings, but I've also added this Valve Screamer VS9 with the settings you see here on top of that. This is giving you a more subtle lead guitar tone. It works really well if you're playing over a more softer piece or just something that requires more subtlety. It's definitely overdriven, but it's not so overdriven that it feels out of place in a more calm song. So that's why I like this particular sound. Another thing I've done with the lead sounds is I've added this South Church reverb. This is a very big and very epic sounding reverb, and it might be a little bit too much reverb for some people, but I really like the way it sounds, and I've used this combination as the more subtle lead part in all of the Silver Sky videos on my channel so far. Scene 5 is effectively just the less subtle version of Scene 4, so the drive, tone, and level have all been increased, as you can see here, and this gets you a much more noticeably overdriven lead sound, which I think sounds pretty good as well. In scene 6, I switch from the Tube Screamer overdrive to this KLON overdrive that I have set more as a boost. This isn't really a sound that I use all that often in isolation. I like the way the KLON model sounds in the Axe FX, but the best way I could describe this particular scene is it's kind of like an alternative to the amp crunch sound. So again, we're going into the edge of breakup sound in the J35 model. And this just kind of boosts everything to get us into crunch territory in just a different way, I guess. In scene number 7, I stack the two drive pedals, so as you can see here, I've got the KLON going into the more mild version of the Tube Screamer, and this is giving quite a bit of overdrive. This is definitely the most overdriven sound in this particular preset. I think it sounds pretty awesome still. It might be a little bit too noisy for some people. Honestly, some days it is a little bit too noisy even for me, especially with more traditional single coil style pickups. But it is a lot of fun, and it really is a nice, very liquid feeling lead tone. Scene number 8 is just effectively a pseudo amp in the room tone. So all I've done is I've dialed in the Recording Studio A and cranked the mix a ton. This is probably going to be way too much reverb for the majority of people, but I am someone who loves reverb a little bit too much, so I can honestly play on a sound like this all day. And that's everything that's going on in this particular preset. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope this video was useful to those of you who are looking to dial in a guitar tone like this for yourself. If you're interested in me making another video like this for any of the other tones you've seen on my channel, let me know in that comment section down below. Like, subscribe, all the stuff that all the YouTubers tell you at the end of every single video. It really does help out quite a bit. Thank you so much again, and until next time, stay safe, and I hope to see you again soon.